All right, to those struggling, to those that have had a storied career, and Jason Dunstall, so officially the 32nd Australian Hall of Fame, a Football Hall of Fame legend, inducted, or will be inducted this year, and was announced earlier this week.
Well, he'll be elevated.
Yes, he will be elevated, my apologies.
To legend status, yeah.
Third on the all-time goal-kicking list behind Tony Lockett and Gordon Coventry. Just an icon of the game, and we did, over the break, we did the Mount Rushmore of every team, looking at sort of the four faces of every club, and who would be, if you had to nail or boil down your club to just four iconic names, who they'd be. And on Hawthorn's one was very tough.
Hardest, yes.
But Dunstall was well and truly on it, and I think this is a well-deserved recognition of what he's been able to do, and thoroughly deserved, as I say. But there's a couple of questions here. I think what you've been sort of raising over to me in the office over the last few days has been, why are we waiting so long to do this? Because I know that there's a necessity to wait until after players have retired for 5 years to induct them into the Hall of Fame itself.
Yeah.
But to elevate them to legend status, there's no real need. And I would have thought players like Lockett and like Dunstall are almost sort of So why necessarily do we need to be waiting?
Well, that's exactly it. You've taken the words out of my mouth. That's pretty much what I've been saying. Is that when you know, right?
Yeah.
You know, with certain players, we'll go through some of the more modern era names in a minute. You know who's going to be a legend. I don't know why we need to wait. Now, there is a rule in place, if you will, that there cannot be more than, I believe it's 10% of the Hall of Fame can't be. 10% of the Hall of Fame is the maximum amount of legends that they can have at any one time.
Yeah.
So I get that not everyone can go in and just be a legend, but why does it have to be 10%? What? That's just a number that's been plucked out of thin air for no reason. I don't understand it. If there happens to be 11% or 12% that are legends, does that really matter? I think we know who the legends are, I think they need to be celebrated closer to their career finishing, as opposed to Jason Dunstall, who hasn't played a game since August 29, 1998.
My age, I'm 31. I don't really remember watching him at all. I would have been about 5 or 6 years old when he was in the twilight, quote unquote, of his career.
So we know that Buddy's going to be a legend. Buddy's going to be a legend of the AFL at some stage. Why would it, if it's going to be a similar timeline to Dunstall, it'll be the next generation and getting close to the next one again where he and it's like, you feel like the generation that he played in front of would want to see him become a legend closer to the era in which he played. I just think that makes so much more sense. Yeah. Especially when it's someone that you know is a legend. And with the criteria to become a legend, it's just playing and coaching career. Now, I think it's quite clear that someone like Buddy, he's not going to be a coach. He's not going to get into coaching.
So nothing's changing.
Nothing's changing. His legacy is set right now. I don't understand why we need to wait when we know he's going to be eventually.
And also, I mean, not just the legend elevation, but also just the induction in general. I think there are players that walk out of their careers, they're going to be Hall of Famers. And it's kind of the same thing. You let the dust settle, what are they trying to do? Overcome recency bias in their decision making? Who's going to be a Hall of Famer in the future. Current names will get rattled off plenty, but someone like Scott Pendlebury, for example, when he hangs up the boots, why wouldn't you just almost sort of say, usher him through right away?
Into the Hall of Fame or
into
as
the Hall
a
of Fame?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The legends. Putting the legends aside for a second.
Yeah.
So I think two parts to that. So the staggering of players in, I think they've got the right amount each year. So each year they induct probably 4 to 6,
that's
maybe
fine,
7.
Yeah, great.
And I think that's just the legacy of it. So the Hall of Fame started in 95, 96. I think it was created around the centenary season. And it's carried on since then. So yeah, most players have to wait 3 or 4 years. It's almost just because of the pool of players keeps sliding out that if you did induct everyone in 1 year, and try to get them in that year, you might have 12 inductions 1 year and 1 the next because you don't have as many retirements. So I think its staggered approach is good. It keeps the prestige of it and sort of the night to sort of be much smaller and more special for the actual inductees. And to your other point about the 10%, I think even though it might be an arbitrary number, I don't know how they come up with it. I love the number, the fact that we know that to be a legend, it's not just it's your turn to go in there. You actually have to be one of the top 10% Hall of Fame, people in there. So I get, you're sort of saying, why can't they bump it up to 11, 12%? I think then it loses value. It's like, we're just putting him in because he needs to go in. It's like, Buddy Franklin actually will have to wait maybe 5 or 6 years before he can actually be put into legend which makes the prestige of the award so much better. That means, yes, he is actually one of the top 10% of, identities that we've had.
do we
in
not
this
know that
game.
already?
So,
And he's going to have to wait the 5 years since retiring to be in the Hall of Fame as it is currently. And then how long are we going to have to wait to see him become a legend? I think I agree with your point.
We
It's
know
like,
he's going to be, yes. It's
yeah, if you look at the elevations to legend status, I mean, there aren't many, like, obviously there aren't many younger players out there, but the vast majority of these people is like you're losing, or you don't have many people don't have a great idea of how good they were in their particular field. I mean, we talked about this on the Mount Rushmore episodes in the off season. It's just like a lot of this is we're going by
what you read, what you know, and what the numbers say.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I see both points, adds to the prestige, but also like there's kind of this element of you kind of want to see this recognition youngish. You kind of want to see, hey, you've earned this.
Yeah, that's us from
I'm not
a
saying
selfish
when
point of view as fans, but the reverence of it all is like, well, you have to actually wait 20 years before you got into the Hall of Fame, so it might make it actually so much more, as I said, prestigious, and the reverence of it. It's like you don't just get in there as soon as you finish. You have to wait your time. And
But what if someone's not with us anymore, and then they miss that opportunity?
That has happened.
To
Yeah,
get
exactly.
Yeah. And I just think you rob the era, and I think it's owed to footy fans of each era.
But that's what I'm saying. You're sort of re-celebrating him in another era. So yes,
But you're
if I
celebrating-
use Gordon Coventry,
Yeah.
that's going way back. But maybe someone from the 60s or 70s, where when he was, again, Hall of Fame wasn't around there. But if he was inducted 5 years after his career, that is his peers and the fans that watched him grow up. Then you induct him as a legend 15 years later. Us as fans go, oh, I don't know this guy. But it's actually giving that guy more recognition to sort of say, wait, we're going to remind everyone 15, 20 years later of how much contribution Jack Odie and
Well, to Jake's
and
point,
Merv
so
McIntosh
Russell Ebert passed away before he was elevated to legend status, and it was only, I think he was only 72 at the time. So I mean, that's just that.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Because a lot of players will say it's the highlight of their playing career, and that includes players that have won premierships and Brownlows.
Dunstall was speaking about how he felt inadequate to be amongst the names there,
Yeah.
and imagine being able to talk about that on the night
And to miss that because we know you are, but we can't put you in because we've already got the allocations exhausted. I just find that a bit silly. But speaking of legends, who of this era, and when I say era, I'm going back 20 years.
legends.
20 years. Who would be a legend?
the top 10% of the creme of the crop. So you're saying those that would be Hall of Famers, and if they're not
Well,
currently
you're saying that it's the top 10% of the...
So this is what I'm saying. So you're saying not just Hall of
2%,
Famers, but
really.
legends.
I'm saying legends.
So
Who
I
of
think
this era is
Buddy's-
a legend?
Buddy's
I think
up
there's
there.
two. I think it's Buddy and Gary Ablett Jr. are the two. No doubt they will be legends at some point. Whether it's in 20 years or 40 years or whatever, they will be in that legends group. I don't know if you can 100% say that about any other player.
Yeah, the
Dusty
next
would
two,
be close.
Dusty's my third one. I think he gets in, and then Chris Judd's probably
Chris
the
Judd
next
would
one.
be Pendlebury.
down. Pendlebury, again, greatest Collingwood player. Does he have enough of the AFL accolades? No Brown. Again, it shouldn't come into it, but we're talking
But it
legends.
should come into it.
Legends
It
are
should
the
come
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
cream of the
let's have a look
crop,
at what
so-
we're comparing to. So Jason Dunstall, 4 times premiership player, 3 times Coleman medal winner, 2 All-Australians, 4 best and fairests, 12 times leading goal kicker. As I said, so 1,254 goals. Like, these are
It's hard to get in.
serious
It's-
accolades.
It's hard to get in if you've never won a Coleman medal, a Brownlow medal. You have to have won. He's won a Norm Smith medal, but you need to have won at least one of your awards, if not multiple.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see
But
how the
I
current
just,
crop...
honestly, I think it's just those two that are clear cut, and then maybe Dusty as well.
Lachie Neale after his third Brownlow. If he gets a
get
third
three,
Brownlow,
you have to be in.
Let us know what you think at Footy Tips on Twitter, and also let us know what you think about the Hall of Fame induction and whether that 5 years is appropriate, and then obviously waiting a little bit longer for the Legends elevation. What your thoughts on that are? We'll take those at Footy Tips on Twitter.